In today's video, we're going to take a look at the March 2024 housing market update for Cedar City, Utah and St. George, Utah. We'll take a deep dive into the housing trends for these two locations in southern Utah, and then we'll discuss where home prices are headed, what we can expect for mortgage interest rates, and what this means for you as a buyer or seller here in southern Utah. If you are thinking of buying or selling a home here in southern Utah, my name is Elizabeth Prisbrey. I'm with Stratum Real Estate Group, and I would love to help you out with that. Please feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. You can find my contact information down below in the description. All right, let's take a look at what is going on in Cedar City, Utah and St. George, Utah. This is the March 2024 housing market update because it is March, but it is going to take into account data all the way through the end of February. So we are going to be looking at February year over year for both Cedar City and St. George, Utah. Now, typically I'll show you Cedar City first and then I will show you St. George. This time I put them on the same slide so that you can compare the two areas. I have done a video comparing Cedar City to St. George, Utah. They are both in southern Utah. They are the two largest cities in southern Utah. However, they have extreme differences, as you can see here from the median sales price. I will link that video down below in the description so that you can kind of get an idea of how these two cities differ. But for now, let's take a look at the data through the end of February. The median sales price is what most people are looking to find. Now, this is comparing homes that closed in the month of February year over year. Median is going to be right in the middle, meaning half of these homes closed for less than this dollar amount, half of these homes closed for more than this dollar amount. Now you can see the green line here indicates St. George, Utah. The blue line here indicates Cedar City, Utah. You can see there's quite a bit of difference here. The median sales price in St. George is a little over $526,000 for 2024, whereas in Cedar City, the median sales price to end out February is right around $385,000. That's where they currently ended out this year, but we're looking at them year over year so that you can kind of see the trends in the data and what we have seen over the last few years in both of these cities. Now, I took this all the way back to 2018. You'll notice we are seeing an increase in both of these cities all the way up until 2022, where we saw a pretty decent dip from 2022 to 2023 in St. George, going from just over $550,000 to right around $500,000. So there was a decrease in the median sales price in St. George, Utah. However, this last year we are seeing a slight increase here, about halfway between these 2 points. So even though 2024 is seeing appreciation from 2023, it still isn't quite back up to where the median sales price was in 2022. However, we are now back into appreciation. Cedar City did not see that dip from 2022 to 2023. However, we do have a slight dip here from 2023 to 2024. It's mostly remained steady. This dip is really only about $2,500, so it's not that much, but no real decrease in appreciation here for Cedar City from last year to this year. And we're going to talk about why this is and what we can expect for the rest of this year. Now, I always like to go over the absorption rate. The absorption rate is really our month's supply, meaning how long will it take to sell all of the homes currently on the market if no new homes hit the market and everything stayed as is. You'll notice again, Cedar City is going to be in blue, St. George is going to be in green. I did take this all the way back to 2018 so that you can get the last 5 or 6 years as a comparison for where we are at. Right now, both Cedar City and St. George are sitting between a 3 and 4 month supply. St. George is a little bit closer to a 4 month supply. Cedar City is a little bit closer to a 3 month supply. A balanced market is going to be right around 6 month supply, meaning both the buyer and seller have negotiating power. Even before the pandemic, back in 2018, Cedar City and St. George were sitting between a 3 and 4 month supply. So as far as months inventory goes, we're looking pretty comparable to what we were before. However, this huge dip that we see here in 2021, 2022 is going to be the reason that we saw those home prices increase so much. Now you can see in 2022 where both of these locations were sitting closer to a 1 month supply, and then it shot up up in 2023 for both of these cities, up above 3 months supply. That is why we saw those home prices either decrease like we did in St. George or hold steady in Cedar City. So the month's inventory or the absorption rate typically gives us an idea of what we can expect from the housing market. If we were to see this shoot up clear to 6 months or even beyond, then yes, we will likely see home prices depreciate. However, it's kind of holding steady in 2024 to 2023. So that's something else that I want you to take notice of as we talk about where home prices are headed. Now, days on market is another indication that you can look at whether a buyer or a seller. If you are selling your home and your home is sitting on the market longer than the median days on market, you might want to go back and assess where you have it priced, how is it showing, do you need to make any more renovations, and see if you have actually listed that property appropriately. If you're a buyer and you see that that home's been sitting on the market for a while, past what the median days on market is, then there's the potential that you have negotiating power there. So it is important to pay attention to the days on market if you are a buyer or a seller. Now, this is going to be your median days on market. Right now in 2024, both Cedar City and St. George have homes sitting on the market for around 45 days, meaning half of the homes sold quicker than this, half of the homes took longer to sell than this. You can see in 2021 and 2022, homes were taking just under a week to just over a week to sell or to get into contract. They don't actually close that quickly, but as soon as there's an accepted offer on that property, it is considered off the market. Now, as we take a look at these days on market, you can see for Cedar City, they went up over 60 days last year, a year ago in 2023, but then they've actually dropped down this year. So again, an indication of where we might be headed. In St. George, homes are still sitting on the market right around the same amount of time frame. A day or two is not going to rock the boat that much, but it gives you an indication of where we were and where we currently are now. If we compare them to before the pandemic, St. George homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer than they were prior to the pandemic. Cedar City, of course, went way up in 2023, but we're back down comparatively to 2020 and a little bit lower than 2019. Now, I did this one a little bit different. We're going to look at Cedar City first, then we'll take a look at St. George because I wanted you to see new, active, pending, and sold listings together so that you can see how they correlate. New is going to be your blue line here, active is going to be your red line here, pending is going to be your purple line here, and then sold is going to be your green line here. Again, we're taking a look at this year over year for the month of February. Now, I should note the difference between active listings and new listings. New listings are those homes that came on the market in the month of February. Active listings are all those homes available currently to be sold. Active listings will include homes that were listed prior to the month of February. We know it's going to be more than what the new homes are because homes are sitting on the market for around 45 days. I do want you to see though, this active listings, this dropped way down in 2021. It was on its way back up in 2022 and then was much higher in 2023. As we have less homes on the market, then that drives up price. And that's really what we saw in 2021 and 2022 when we saw those price increases so high. So how many active listings we have on the market is really important to whether our homes are appreciating quickly or whether they are depreciating. Our active listings are still lower than they were pre-pandemic. That means there are not enough homes on the market to cause a housing crash. Something we're going to talk about here as we discuss where home prices are headed. As far as new listings go, we did see more of an uptick for Cedar City in 2022. However, these went down considerably in 2023. We are starting to see some new listings come back to the market in 2024 for Cedar City. Still not what we need, but it shows you that they are starting to go up. Now you can see from our graph here, our new, our pending, and our sold listings went down in 2023 in Cedar City. However, all three of those are trending up in 2024. Again, more indication of what our market is doing and where we are likely headed. Now for St. George, our colors are going to be the same. Blue is for new, red is for active, purple is for pending, and green is for sold. You'll notice that the active listings for St. George did the same thing that they did for Cedar City, and we'll take a look at that Cedar City graph again. They dipped way down. So you can see that happened in St. George as well, only St. George didn't start to climb back up in 2022. They pretty much stayed low 2 years in a row in February, which really skyrocketed St. George's housing prices. However, the active listings did shoot way up in 2023, but again, they are still below what they were prior to the pandemic. Now in 2024, they are slightly dipping down. We did see the median sales price go up for St. George from last year to this year, and it's likely because we saw less listings on the market, which drives up the price. Now what's interesting here is in St. George, we actually saw new listings go on the market in 2023 and in 2024, which is going to help this housing market. It didn't dip down like Cedar City's did, but those new listings coming on the market will help to stabilize the price in St. George. As far as pending and close, those dipped down in 2023. Pendings were up in 2024, just slightly, not very much. However, closed listings were down in St. George from 2023. Now that we've taken a look at that data for both Cedar City and St. George, where things are sitting at the end of February 2024, the next question is, where do we think home prices are headed? Well, in all honesty, we know this has a lot to do with the mortgage interest rates, and we know the mortgage interest rates have a lot to do with the inflation rate in the country. The Fed is following that. However, let's take a look at some data and then we'll discuss this question. Now, I said typically mortgage interest rates will follow inflation. Our inflation has continued to trend down. At the end of January, we're sitting right around 3.09% in the US for our inflation. Although we saw that tick up in December 2023, it has continued to trend down. We only have this through the end of January, as this is a little bit delayed, but it kind of gives you an idea of where our inflation rate is currently sitting. The lowest we saw in the last year was in July of 2023. You can see over here that the Federal Reserve has a targeted rate of 2% inflation. So that is their goal, and that's what they are looking towards. The Fed has said that they aren't planning to hike rates this year, that they are actually planning to cut it, but we aren't seeing the increase in inventory that they're looking for in order to stabilize those prices. So far that hasn't happened. Now, if we take a look at where the current mortgage interest rate is for a 30-year fixed mortgage, according to Freddie Mac, it's actually sitting right around 6.94%. Of course, that's going to vary for everyone. That's more of an average there. It's going to take into consideration your credit, your debt to income ratio to really give you an idea of what your score is, but this is an average here. But you'll notice this has actually gone up from where we were a month ago, and it's actually higher than where it was a year ago at this time. A year ago at this time, I'm actually recording this on March 4th, we were about 6.65%, whereas now we're right around 6.94%. However, what I want you to notice is there was a bit of a dip here in April. The reason I bring that up is because I want to take a look at what some well-known sources are predicting for mortgage interest rates to give you an idea. Now, this is an article from Business Insider. It's actually on their personal finance page, but it just kind of gives some predictions from well-known sources. For example, Fannie Mae, they're predicting that rates will fall to the low 6% range during the buying season, which is typically from spring through early fall. And then they are also predicting that it will reach about 5.9% by the end of 2024. So remember, we looked at those mortgage interest rates, what they were last year, and we did see a dip right around April. I'm not saying that's going to happen. Again, we're just looking at the trends. You need to figure out what works best for you. But MBA, they're a little less aggressive in their forecasting. They're predicting rates will be between 6.3% and 6.6% during those peak buying seasons, falling to around 6.1% to close out 2024. And we know just a little bit of dip in that percentage can save you quite a lot on your mortgage payment. And then lastly, NAR, or the National Association of Realtors, they're predicting also the mid 6% range for the home buying season, also dropping to about 6.1% in the last quarter. So these are well-known sources that track it often. This is what they're predicting as far as mortgage interest rates go. Now, these same sources also have home price predictions for 2024. 2024. These are their most recent up-to-date predictions. Now, these do change often, so make sure that you are coming back each month to see how these adjust as the Fed adjusts the rates. Fannie Mae is currently predicting that home prices will raise by 3.2% year over year. MBA, or the Mortgage Bankers Association, believes that they will see as much as 4.1% increase this year. And then the National Association of Realtors, or NAR, is predicting that home prices will increase by 1.4% overall. Now, those are on a national basis, but if we take a look at our data for the median sales price for Cedar City and St. George, which includes the median sales price, the absorption rate, or the month's inventory, notice that we're very similar to 2023. We saw a little bit of appreciation for St. George, pretty steady for Cedar City, and then our days on market has also dipped down. I'm foreseeing that our market is not going to see a crash in Cedar City or St. George, given that our market is so similar to what it was a year ago, and that we saw some appreciation in St. George and pretty steady and stable in Cedar City. I think it's going to be about the same as what we saw last year. Now, I do want to address a few things because I know a lot of people are waiting for that housing market crash, but there are 3 reasons why we don't see this happening. One of them is that the lending regulations are steady. This is from MBA. A higher number here means that the lending standards aren't very tight or strict. That's what we saw in June 2006. To finish out January 2024, lending standards are more tight than they were when we saw that housing bubble and everything crash. So that's going to be the first reason. The second reason is we do not have the housing supply that we had back in 2007, 2008, 2009, even 2010. You can see from our month's inventory from these 2 cities that it's really pretty low, and the housing inventory that we currently have is just way lower than before, which means it's less likely for us to see a crash or a bubble bursting. And then the last reason is that we're actually at an all-time high for the amount of equity available that homeowners currently have. So given these 3 reasons, it's very unlikely that we will see a housing crash or a bubble bursting in these 2 areas currently. We never know what the future holds, but right now, this is where all the data is pointing. All right, if you are looking to buy, sell, or invest here in Southern Utah, my name is Elizabeth Prisbrey. I'm with Stratum Real Estate Group, and I really would love to help you out with that. Please feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. Contact information is down below in the description. All right, until next time, have a wonderful day.